Welcome to the Nexus Summit, a think tank media experience. This is where the hospitality industry comes together across students, educators, employers, and global leaders to connect, learn, and lead. From keynote speakers and expert panels to student competitions, certifications, and live conversations, the summit showcases the ideas, people, and opportunities shaping what's next. Take your front row seat to the future of hospitality and discover where you belong in it, starting now.
Hello, my name is Kylie FitzGibbons, and I am known as the Chief Optimism Officer at Service with a Smile, Leadership Training and Programs. I also introduce myself as a hospitality experience expert, and I'm here honored to join the Nexus Leadership Summit to share some stories of my experience of over 20 years dedicated to the luxury hospitality operations world. From server assistant, serving bread and water and a smile, climbing the leadership ladder, working in operations from food and beverage, restaurants, front of house, and even seeing behind the scenes of engineering, housekeeping, and other supportive departments. I've seen it all. I've worked it all, boots on the ground, from city hotel to ranch in the country resort to island tropical destinations. I am honored to share that I even was part of the pre-opening team of a Forbes Most Anticipated opening back in 2016. A lot of stories can be shared, and I'll try my best to confine it down to this 20 to 30-minute segment, but honored that you chose to be here, learning and growing and being a lifelong learner is such a gift. And this industry opens so many avenues and so many doors for growth and opportunities to be of service, not only to paying guests, but also to anyone that crosses your path. And that's really what I'm excited to share with you today as you're on your own leadership journey, personally and professionally. Inspired by 20 years of luxury hospitality experience, I've over the years pieced things together to grow from server assistant to general manager by age 30, transitioned off property full-time, all in an effort, my mission, my bigger picture, my soul craving the opportunity to grow and develop and truly scale my ability to be of service with a smile. Since I was little, I was called Smiley Kylie. And if you notice, I smile even in my sleep. And realistically, there's so many dark clouds in this world and in the industry sometimes that is disheartening and difficult to navigate. So my mission in bringing service with a smile to each of the 50 states and beyond is really dedicated to elevating service-based experiences across America and beyond. And I do this through Signature Framework. We could talk about that on another call. But today, really just the big picture, my whole purpose, I believe, put on this earth is to be of service with a smile, help elevate experiences, and highlight the bright side of hospitality. And I invite you to do the same. Some details that I share across thousands of experts and industry professionals, business owners, and more is the concept that service is everywhere. I bet you would agree, and you could come up with a million lists, maybe 100, a list of 100 companies, businesses, even just in your backyard. Whether it's your favorite place or your not favorite place, they are of service. They provide a service of some sort. And what I've learned over the years is even a product-based company, sometimes people don't think of it this way, but a person or business providing a product also has a service segment, from delivery to taking orders to fulfillment to follow-up and everything in between. And that's where being an experience expert comes to play, is identifying where the opportunities are to celebrate what is done really well and consider areas that have room for improvement. I invite you to consider that for yourself as you're doing self-reflection on your personal and your professional journey. Consider what you have done well, consider areas of improvement, seeing the bright side of the lessons and the blessings that are attached to some of the challenges that you might be crossing paths with, And then highlighting and celebrating the things that you did well. Not only being hard on yourself, but also celebrating what you have learned, what you have accomplished, how you've been able to serve and support your community, your team, your family, your friends. The list goes on. Going back to service is everywhere. Unfortunately, you may agree, service with a smile is not everywhere. And part of my mission with Service with a Smile leadership is to be able to share the simplicity of service with a smile starts with you. And if I can teach you any takeaways today, I hope that there's a lot of takeaways in this short time we have together. But one of the biggest takeaways I really invite you to embrace is that it starts with you. Someone is acting up in your environment. Even if you didn't initiate it, you can still choose to show up with a smile. You can choose your rhythm. Many people say routine, but I like to say rhythm. Maybe it's your morning routine. In order to set yourself up for a morning routine successfully, to set yourself up for a successful day, what are you doing the night before? Have you ever considered an evening routine, or what I say rhythm? An evening routine could be as simple. It doesn't have to be an entire defined novel of action items that you do every night. It doesn't have to be stressful at all. I invite you to consider what actions you're taking to set yourself up for the next day. For example, pick out your workout clothes the night before and set it next to the end of your bed. Have a cup of water. For example, I sleep with my Stanley cup next to me and it's full so that when I first wake up in the morning, I drink as much water as I can and naturally am hydrated before I go straight for coffee. If your goal is to be hydrated and you know that running a 24/7 operation or even working an 8-hour day, full day, you can get distracted by everyone that needs everything all the time, right? It's fun being in service. It's rewarding being of service and sharing your heart for hospitality. But so many times, service professionals, myself included, throughout my journey, I still work on this myself, so I'm right there with you, is practicing the process of pouring from a full cup instead of an empty cup. Some of us are programmed to be energizer bunnies and run resorts nonstop and keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. But I invite you to pause and take a breath or take a quick minute to walk outside to get some fresh air, to drink some water, some of the essential key lifelines of fulfilling your heart cup so you can be better prepared to serve other people. If it's working out at nighttime or in the morning, whatever that might be for you to get movement in. Some of us are sitting all day. I've been on webinar calls. I've been on phone calls. I have been sitting in this seat with the exception of a few steps. I try my best. A recommendation for you for workplace wellness activities that are part of the SWAS framework, Service with a Smile framework, is to consider moving. Even if it's 5 minutes every hour, that sounds crazy, but it's not far at all. Sometimes we postpone important things like a lunch break or a restroom refresh or a phone call that's important because we're so engulfed in the heat of operations, especially coming off of festive season in the Caribbean, peak season, Christmas, holidays, personal or professional. I'm sure you had plenty on your agenda. When do you take time to press pause to refill your cup? Imagine a world where we could impact the turnover numbers in hospitality together. I'm on a mission to help with that. But hospitality turnover is over 90%. What if we could switch that to 90% retention and internal promotions and growth and development and pouring into our people? Rather than waiting for everyone to pour into you, what if you pour into yourself first? It's an interesting perspective. So one of the key values that I stand by and principles is called the 3 P's of service with a smile. And that concept is positivity leads to profitability. Sorry, just kidding. I don't have my slides in front of me. It is Positivity leads to productivity, which leads to profitability. And so many businesses I partner with over the past 20 years, it focuses solely on the bottom line and says they highlight on guest experience. And guest experience is so important. And something I like to introduce is the concept of define the word guest. The guest internally is your employees and your team. An external guest is a guest coming out off site to come on site to stay, play, pay for your experience. So guest experience is very important. Employee experience is very important. And ownership experience, satisfaction with the bottom line is very important. You can't have a business and continue to operate without financial performance. So something I learned earlier in my career when I first started off in leadership was something called the three-legged stool, which is something you can learn or apply to any business, really. The idea is employee engagement as a whole leads to guest engagement, which leads to financial performance. And that's what I call ownership engagement, because ownership corporate is fully engaged when they're performing and having profitable businesses. And it's a cycle. What I noticed is missing. So through my journey of my service commitment to excellence, growing through the industry and working each of the layers of leadership, I've found gaps. And my goal is to fill in those gaps individually, collectively, and finding solutions. So core value that I stand by is being solution focused, and bringing a positive perspective with action and implementation is how you can get those solutions into place with results. So I share this as a couple of takeaways to learn from my experience, to share the story of Service with a Smile leadership actually started from when I was a first-time leader at a luxury resort. I met a lady who was on a board of directors of AAAE, the American Association of Airline Executives, and they had a meeting in British Columbia in October of 2014. It's so hard to believe it was over a decade ago, but that was my first opportunity to present Service with a Smile to a room full of leaders. And so for the longest time, I was proudly sharing that I'm a keynote speaker and I've presented in front of leaders from all over the nation. And only about 3 years ago, a friend of mine said, "Kylie, you're an international speaker." And so I say this to you, not to toot my own horn or to boast and brag, but to share that I've had some very unique experiences, have had the opportunity to be of service to some incredible people from all walks of life, all different countries, states, and stories of their own. And now even sharing this with you fills my heart cup to the fullest. And when I met this lady who invited me to come be a presenter over a decade ago, I believe it was possible because I was consistently practicing my yoga and workout routines. I was eating relatively well and taking care of myself. So when you take care of yourself, you feel better, you appear more energetic, which attracts and magnets more opportunities. And movement, the more you're moving, the more movement happens with you. So sometimes we do move backwards, but that could catapult you forwards, or step to the side to repivot and then get back on track. That's normal. That's completely normal. But I'm sharing all of this from lessons learned of when another friend reached out to me and said, "Kylie, you've been an international speaker. I'm taking this opportunity on this presentation to hold up the mirror and ask you, where can you find gaps in your own personal experience journey? Whether it's your career journey and you had a lesson learned and you can share your lessons with other people, or you can learn from your lesson, see it as a blessing, and pivot to take another step to keep up that momentum to continue going." Maybe it's your own personal water goals, like I was talking about. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's calling your mom. It could be a number of things. But I really encourage you to take time to write these down so they stay front of mind, because we can think about it, But on average, we have over 70,000 thoughts in our mind every single day. And over 80 to 90% of them, I'm sorry, I don't have the number, is automatically programmed from habit and routine that's programmed from the day before and the day before and the day before. So it takes work, it takes practice, it takes focus and discipline. And if you don't already have your own mission, vision, and values established, this is something that the most successful companies in the world have designed and developed and market. That's what attracts you to their company, to want to be a team member and represent them as a leader. And what I've learned over my career, I have almost 10 years of experience starting off with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, the top 1% service provider in the world. Something they do so well is consistently introduce their culture, their mission, their vision, their values. If you're not familiar with the Credo card, it lists out the 12 service values that they eat, breathe, and live by. When you're doing onboarding and orientation as a new hire employee or team member, you can't start on the floor until you've completed those first 3 days of orientation. Or when I started years ago, it was 3 days of orientation. And reciting the Credo card. I still to this day can recite their Credo, which is their mission statement. They have a vision and an employee promise, which is a commitment statement to their employees, as well as a values list. And they even have a motto. Everyone knows ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. They have a catchphrase, my pleasure. And I'm not here to promote any particular company or business, but I share that as an example of when we're talking about workplace wellness and service with a smile, how the service with a smile starts with you is it's your conditioning. And I was fortunate to be conditioned early in my career, choosing the path of hospitality to learn from the ground up. And boy, was it a lot of work, but I really wouldn't change it for the world. And looking at the lessons I've learned from a well-established luxury corporation that has mission, vision, and values, and I've grown through other companies, boutique properties, different industries too, that show that service is everywhere. Part of training a full team of the fastest growing autism clinic in America, pre-opening hotels, helping boutique short-term rentals, opening a fine dining restaurant, helping real estate teams, financial advisors, senior living care providers. The list goes on. Service is everywhere. Service with a smile starts with you. In order to best fill up your cup, if you don't know what your personal mission statement, vision is, or core values, your non-negotiables are, it's difficult to consistently show up and make decisions that align with your core values. My whole big story from all of my experiences is growing from multiple big corporations to smaller family-owned, independent boutique properties, and being of service to individuals and to teams collectively. There's always a consistent. It starts with you. Today, I show up with my heart for hospitality, my sincere hope to spark inspiration for you to be kind, to share some solutions, and to remind you to have a perspective with a leadership lens, to consider the other persons, but also make sure that while you're considering others, you consider yourself and make sure your cup is full so that you will continuously pour into others and share a smile. With the experiences you're creating, I hope that they inspire others to smile too. And I encourage you to be the change that you wish to see in this organization and pour into the next generation of leaders. What you learn, when you share it with others, you learn it twice, and then that gives someone else an opportunity to learn something. So I hope that you had some takeaways today. I hope that you have a great time continuing with this Nexus Leadership Summit, and hope one day I can be of service with a smile again to you in the near future. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thanks for spending time with us at the Nexus Summit. This experience is part of Think Tank Media and Hospitality Nexus, a global, human-first platform bringing the hospitality ecosystem together in one place. Inside the Nexus, it's a career fair that never closes, connecting industry leaders, educators, students, employers, and partners through real presence. To keep the conversation going, create your free profile and connect directly with Summit participants from around the world at hospitalitynexus.org. Stay connected, keep learning, and take your place in what's next.